Jocko Willink is a retired US Navy SEAL who led the most highly decorated special operations unit in the Iraq War. He went from being a Navy SEALs commander to becoming a New York Times best-selling author, top-rated podcast host, and designer of a line of men's denim jeans. And today we're going to learn his best advice on how you can change your perspective. Rise and shine, it's Entspresso time.
I wake up every morning.
Espresso keep me going.
I wake up every morning.
Hey, it's Carmichael, and every morning I bring you a shot of Entspresso to help you believe in yourself and start your day off with confidence. So good morning, I believe in you, and let's do this. Jocko Willink, tell us how to change our perspective.
There's no other thing that will make you as completely crystalline focused on anything other than war. There's bad guys that you are trying to kill and they are trying to kill you. You can't get any more focused than that right there. When I had this conversation, and I've also said, that the best times of my life, hands down, the best time of my life up to this point was being the task unit commander in the Battle of Ramadi, without question. The worst times of my life also were being the task unit commander in the Battle of Ramadi.
By the way, thank you.
It was an honor. It was an honor to serve. The thing that I came away with, and where I ended up in this conversation with this interview that I was doing, was I asked him, I said, have you ever known anyone that's had cancer, and bad cancer, and they survived it? And of course he said yes. And I said, what do those people say about cancer? Oftentimes they say, I'm glad I had it. It taught me.
I wouldn't go through it again, and I wouldn't
wish
it on people.
I wouldn't go through it again. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, but I'm glad I went through it. And that's the same with war. Why is that? Because it puts things in perspective. It makes you realize that there's little things, little petty things in the world that do not matter. And war, there's nothing better than the sunrise in a free country, or walking down the street, walking your daughter to school. It doesn't get any better than that. And when you've been to war and you see the sacrifices that were made, and you see how so much of the rest of the world lives, they don't have that opportunity to be able to walk down the street with your little girl and take her to school. It puts things in such stark perspective. You realize how lucky we are to be here, how lucky we are to be in this country. And you also realize that it is a sin. It is a sin to squander these opportunities that we have.
Your next big step forward in life will come from a big shift in perspective on one of your beliefs. Your habits, your routines, the results that you're getting all come from what you believe to be true about your life and the world. And for you to get different results than you're getting right now in your life, you're going to have to change your perspective on one or more of your beliefs. So this topic makes me think about my favorite comment of all time. If you think about my YouTube channel, I've had it for 11 years and I don't know how many thousands of comments. My favorite comment of all time was we profiled a black entrepreneur, and one of the guys in the comments said, growing up, my parents taught me that black people were the N-word. And you just changed my perspective today. I was willing to learn from a black man. And it blew my mind, because when I first set out to make my channel, it wasn't really about race or willingness to learn from other people. It was more, hey, these people have accomplished success. You should go and learn from them. I wasn't set out to try to solve sexism or racism or anything so big like that. But what had happened was I had enough credibility with this person, and I didn't know them from anything. They just watched enough of my videos, that then when I made this video on a black man, he decided, you know what, I'm going to give it a few minutes. And that experience changed his perspective. That then will hopefully go off and change his life. Imagine having that belief that then changes, what kind of ripple effect that has on the rest of your life. And that's what happens when you get exposed to new opportunities and new people and new perspectives. You were raised with a perspective. Your parents, your family, community, a super isolated perspective that you feel is right. And many of those things may still be right for who you want to become. But if you want to have greater success, greater levels of confidence, greater levels of happiness and purpose and fulfillment than the people around you, you're going to have to believe something that's different than what they believe. You're going to have to surround yourself with other people who've actually gone off and done that thing, because the people around you aren't giving you the thing that you need. And so that's one of my main goals with this channel. I know people come in to learn from people who are like them. You learn from people who look like you, who might be the same sex or same gender, in the same industry, or use the same language as you. But what I'm really hoping to do as well is, in that process, you came for this one person, you came for this one thought or one idea, and I want to expose you to a whole bunch of different perspectives, all still within the lens of belief, right? Everything on my channels, all of the channels are always positive. It's always belief. It's always optimistic. It's always uplifting. But I want to try to hit you with different perspectives and angles, because Eric Thomas and Jocko Willink are going to yell at you through something, and Oprah Winfrey and Wayne Dyer are going to hug you through something. And sometimes maybe you need to yell, and sometimes you need to hug. But I want to give you different perspectives to help you become the best version of you. Now, if you really want the process to change your perspective, I got a 3-step process that I want to walk you through. But before that, if you want to have more confidence and self-love, I have a 254 series just for you, where every day for the next 254 days, I'll send you a video to your email for free. The links to join are in the description below.
People want to know how to stop the laziness, and they want to know how to stop the procrastination. And I looked at him and I said, I'm not a brand. I'm a person. Self-discipline comes from the self. It comes from you.
Okay, so how do we make the perspective shifts that we need to make in our life to get to the spot that we want to be? I've got a 3-step process. Let's go. Step number 1 is learn to learn from people that you hate. This is one of the most important things that I can articulate, that I can push you towards. Find somebody who's had success, ideally in some kind of related field, but still has some success that you hate for some reason, and force yourself to learn from them. Force yourself to find one thing about them that you can learn to make you better at what to do. So even looking at my wall here, right? I like to tell the story. I've got Steve Jobs here, and I got my dad here. I want to be a visionary like Steve Jobs and a father like my father. I don't want to be a father like Steve Jobs and a visionary like my dad, right? The whole point of this is for you to be the best you. And for that to happen, you pull different things from different people. You may hate everything about Steve Jobs or everything about Kanye West at the back wall there, but there's one thing that you can learn from that person to help you be better. That's often a thing that unlocks a huge chunk of learning. People typically lock themselves in a box. You've trapped yourself in a box of learning, of saying, I'm only going to learn from these kinds of people. And so you get the same kind of messages over and over and over again. But really, if you want to unlock your learning, finding people who you disagree with, who you may hate a lot about them, but examining how they've had success, a good starting point is the top 10s on my other channel, right? It's always positive. It's something that I've learned from. If I can learn from them, you could probably learn from them as well. There's one little nugget out of those 10 rules maybe that can apply to your life. And when I was learning from Kanye West was somebody who used to bother me a lot. I saw somebody who's got a giant ego, somebody who I didn't want to be like. But I realized, you know what? I can learn from this guy. I can learn from this guy. I can learn to think bigger like Kanye. I can learn to be a better friend. If you know the story of him and John Legend, I can learn to be a better friend like Kanye. That you can't really see that picture there, but he's on a radio interview and he's saying in that clip, the time is now to be the greatest you. I don't want to sit inside a corporation for the next 30 years. Like, this is the time. The time is now. Let's go. I believe that. I need to remember that even more. Like, the time is now. Not tomorrow, not in 3 years, not next month. Like, it's right now. The time is now for you. You can learn that from Kanye right now, even if you hate him. So step number 1 is find somebody who you hate. Go to my top 10 channel or my main channel and go back in the archives and find somebody who you see their picture and it drives you nuts already. Great. Force yourself to go learn one thing from that person. That's the starting point for shifting your perspective. Step number 2 is say, it's the best. It's the best. This is one of the most valuable perspective shifts that I think any human can make, is when you're faced with something that's negative, something that most people will complain of, and the old you used to complain about. You shift it and say, this is the best. This is the best. This thing that's happening to me right now, this is the best. This coronavirus is happening right now, for me, it's the best. Shift your perspective to say this is the best, because what it does is it moves you from a place of being complaining and upset and angry and unproductive into a place of possibility, of resourcefulness, of you now showing to yourself and to the world what you're capable of. And so when I broke my neck, when there's a fire alarm going off, when we have coronavirus, this is how I stay productive. This is how I stay focused. This is how I stay pushing forward when most people are complaining and negative, is I tell myself, this is the best. This is my chance. This is an opportunity. And I think this is one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs who've had the biggest success crush at. So many entrepreneurs have built their businesses, the ones that you look up to and respect and admire and want to be like, they built their businesses in the toughest times. They built their businesses in recessions and depressions. Why? Because they said it's the best. So whatever that thing is that feels overwhelming, all encompassing, negative in your life, stop complaining about it and say, this is the best. I'm growing. I'm getting stronger through this adversity. I'm going to make something amazing as a result of it. And step number 3 is the first time yes rule. The first time yes rule is the first time you get invited to something or an idea comes to your head, say yes. Most people are in the no business. Most people are looking at all the reasons why it's not going to work and you can't do this and you have no skills or abilities or time or resources. You're always finding no's. We're in the no business of why we can't do stuff. We've told ourselves we can't do these things. Just say yes the first time. This is one of the things I love most about my wife, Nina, is I'll come up with all sorts of crazy ideas, and the first time she'll say yes. We'll see, right? You want to drive to Boston with 2 videographers in the back and film the yes, perfect. You want to go to Sadhguru in Philadelphia and spend 2 days meditate? Yes, perfect. Even though you hate the cold, you want to sit in an ice bath with Wim Hof when he comes to Toronto and film behind? Yes, perfect. Doesn't mean she's going to do it again. She hasn't sat in an ice bath since, but it's the first time yes. The first time yes rule is one of the biggest mentality shifts that if you can make, you'll open yourself up to so many more opportunities. I look at dancing, for example, Toronto Dance Salsa, right? Another business that I run and operate. The number of people who come in and are scared and super nervous, and it's their first time dancing ever as an adult, and then you see the shift that they make. In the identity of like, I just did that. I danced. I never thought I could dance. And here I got a few basic steps of a move. And if they keep coming back, they'll keep getting better. A lot of times you're not making the perspective shift that you need because you're not trying enough new stuff because you're in the no business. First time yes rule. You get an idea, somebody asks you for something, somebody wants to try something with you. Yes. First time yes. Doesn't mean you keep doing it. And as long as it doesn't go against your ethics or your values, don't go rob a bank because they said first time yes. Okay, we're not talking about that kind of stuff. But when you feel a little bit outside your comfort zone, it's like, I'm not the kind of person who does that. First time yes rule. Just see. You might surprise yourself. Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, question of the day, I want to know, who is one person who you hate or massively dislike, who you're going to force yourself to learn from today? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in a video, you're still watching, and you promise, you commit that you're going to do something to take action on what you watched here today. You don't just watch videos, you take action in your life. Give me a hashtag believe down in the comments below. I want to celebrate you.
When I watch what people complain about, it breaks my heart because they completely lack perspective. And I genuinely believe my happiness and optimism comes from my perspective. Even in political unrest times like right now, a lot of people are very bent out of shape, but the reality is that it's just never been better to be a human being. That's just the truth. That's just data. That's reality. And yeah, I mean, it's just a very fun time to be alive. So much going on. The internet is starting to hit maturity. Look what we're doing right now. This right now, right, would have cost millions of dollars in production and distribution to have the amount of people who watch this just 15 years ago. like, you know, I just think it's very interesting times. And I was saying something to a friend the other day. I was like, could you imagine if you told a parent 15 years ago, hey parent, what you're gonna wanna do in 15 years, instead of buying a kid, your 16-year-old, a car, you're gonna convince your 16-year-old daughter to go into a stranger's car every single day. You're gonna pay for your 16-year-old daughter to go into a stranger's car every single day, and you will think that's normal and actually safer than buying that kid a car. That's literally what we're living in now. High net worth individuals in America are preferring to give their kids unlimited Uber to buying a car because they don't want them drinking and driving, they don't trust their driving, and literally they think it's safer for their 16, 17-year-old to go into a stranger's car than to drive themselves. That's sacrilege 15 years ago. Online dating 20 years ago. The weirdest, nerdiest, you're thinking 300-pound white dude in the basement of a kid's car. Now it's just completely standard. I mean, if you add in sliding into people's DM on Instagram, it's like 89% of relationships, right? So, you know, I think that we are, I think we're going through a huge transition because all of us, even thought leaders, are grossly underestimating the internet itself, and we're hitting scale, right? We now all are on at all times, and this is now the beginning. I was joking while I was working out this morning to D-Rock. I'm like, D-Rock, you're gonna get replaced by like a Pokemon ball. Like, I'm gonna throw it up. Like, people in 20 years are literally gonna throw something up and just gonna hover 360 and film everything they're doing. I mean, like, it's just an incredible time. And I think the way people look at the world right now, because it's such an incredible time, is actually the quickest tell to who they are. If you think it sucks or it's bad, you have losing, pessimistic DNA. And if you think it's awesome and phenomenal, you have optimistic, winning DNA. And I believe that to be true.
If you want to know how to be strategic with your life and business with Jocko Willink, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
The one thing in the world I'll procrastinate is procrastination.